Air is a sports drama film directed by Ben Affleck starring Matt Damon, Jason Bateman, Viola Davis, and Affleck himself. It treats its audience to the rather interesting history of an iconic shoe in a film that both entertains and informs. In 1984, athletic footwear company Nike is suffering a major financial hardship due to poor sales in their basketball shoe department. To fix this problem, CEO Phil Knight and marketing executive Rob Strasser assigned Nike's talent scout Sonny Vaccaro with the job of recruiting a new face for their basketball shoes. After watching a highlight reel of rookie Michael Jordan on TV, Sonny believes that this talented player is the very person that Nike should consider for their company image. Due to Jordan's high price and preference for competitor Adidas, Sonny travels to North Carolina to meet face-to-face with Jordan's parents James and Dolores, in hopes that he can convince them to encourage their son to switch over to Nike instead. Even if you don't follow the sport of basketball, I'm willing to bet that virtually everyone has at least heard of the Air Jordan, a line of shoes produced by Nike for basketball player Michael Jordan. Since its debut in November 1984, the Air Jordan has gone on to become the most popular shoe line in the history of the sport, cementing it not only as an enduring symbol of sneaker culture but also as an icon of the 80s in general. What few people may not realize was Nike's initial difficulty in securing a big name like Michael Jordan as their spokesperson, which would have been a huge gamble for a waning company facing fierce competition from other brands. In Ben Affleck's film Air, we are shown the important events that took place during this time period with a level of appeal that extends beyond your typical sports drama feature. What makes this film work as well as it does is in the way it depicts the human element to marketing a brand image to the public. It's easy to simply make an ad for a product and then hope that the general public will buy from it, but there's no guarantee of success without some kind of recognition to go along with what is being sold. Here, we watch as Sonny realizes the potential in using the namesake of a well-known basketball player, in this case, Michael Jordan, to sell shoes for Nike, something which had never been done before by a sportswear company up until that point. This was of course a massive gamble for Nike, especially during a time when they were not financially stable, so it was not just Sonny's future on the line but also the fate of everyone else at the company. In that regard, the film is structured like a fierce bidding war, with Nike being the underdogs fighting to remain in top position as a relevant company for sports apparel. There are some pretty intense scenes involving Sonny racing around the clock to keep his idea afloat, while rival brands like Adidas and Converse drift ever closer to clinching a deal with Jordan before he can. Just when you think Sonny has made progress, another stumbling block might come along to set him back further, only for an even better idea to later pop up to help him back on his feet. I really enjoyed the way the film emphasizes the importance of these business dealings, which makes for a compelling viewing experience for subject matter which would otherwise be seen as relatively routine and uninvolving. Another way this film shines is through its distinctly 80s setting. Director Ben Affleck constantly reminds the audience of what a fun and exciting decade this time would have been to live through, sprinkling in references to songs, movies, TV shows, and of course sporting events that were especially popular at the time. One notable example of the film using 80s pop culture creatively was the inclusion of the song My Adidas by Run DMC. The very fact that one of the world's biggest hip-hop groups had written a song about one of the world's leading sporting apparel brands shows how Adidas had a firm lead in the competition over the likes of Nike, and that the latter had an uphill battle to stand out from the rest. Though I did like this addition to the film, it is worth noting that the song did not come out until 1986, 2 years after this movie is supposed to be set. I think Matt Damon gave the film a lot of heart through his performance as Sonny. Rather than simply call up Michael Jordan's parents over the phone, Sonny instead opts to meet with them in person to discuss his business proposition, albeit without any kind of prior announcement. Naturally, this impromptu visit does not bode well with the Jordan family, but it at least shows them how committed Sonny is to the task at hand, which certainly leaves an impression on the pair regardless. It is here we learn that Sonny was never afraid to take risks, which makes him the perfect person to stake the entire future of Nike's success on his shoulders. We feel all of his frustrations when things go wrong and cheer for him whenever he is able to finally succeed at something. This is not an easy role to pull off, but Damon strikes the right balance between overly confident and likable to make the audience care enough about what happens to him and the company he represents. Also worth noting is Ben Affleck and Jason Bateman as Phil Knight and Rob Strasser respectively. Without these two, Sonny would have had no real motivation to have done what he did to such an extent. Whenever we see Sonny interact with either one of them, it always seemed like something very important was about to happen, no matter how minor. One scene that stood out to me was during a pitch meeting where Sonny and Rob are trying to persuade Phil that the best way for Nike to gain the upper hand over their competitors was to use Michael Jordan's name on their shoes. Without giving away spoilers, this part of the movie seemed like the most crucial, as it properly showcases the strong acting between these three and how having a solid script to work with can make any dialogue scenes fun to watch. Though her screen time is limited, Viola Davis definitely left an impression as Michael Jordan's mother Dolores. In addition to being a caring parent, Dolores is also surprisingly business savvy, as she immediately understands the significance of having her son's likeness used extensively as a marketing tool. Watching her negotiate with Sonny over how much of Michael's image will be featured at what cost were some of the film's highlights, since this type of deal can make or break somebody's reputation. Davis stole the show in almost every one of her scenes, and rose above what could have been just another stock parental character voicing her concerns in the background. For a story about the creation of a shoe, Ayer pulls off the near-impossible task of taking an unlikely piece of business history and turning it into one of the most entertaining films of its genre to be released in many years. Even if you aren't fully invested in anything to do with sports, you can still appreciate the film's angle of examining the marketing techniques that companies use to sell their products. There aren't too many movies out there that could tell a story in this way, especially given its subject matter, so for that reason alone the film is worth seeing. That and the winning combination of its actors and script, of course.